Keter class, the least predictable and most likely to cause trouble. When I think of SCP monsters breaching containment, these ones are always front of mind. They're not always the most dangerous, but they're definitely the hardest to apply the founding rules of SCP to: secure, contain, and protect. Some have already escaped and have been hastily recontained. Others seem to come and go as they please. So let's take a look and see if you have any ideas on how to keep them in containment cells, behind bars, or otherwise immobile. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're counting down the top 5 SCP monsters most likely to escape. Coming in at number 5, we've got SCP-076. That's right, we're talking about Abel. Of course he's one of the most likely to escape. It seems to be all he does. Well, at least for a while there. He is a superhuman soldier hell-bent on fighting until he can't anymore. And every time he's mortally wounded to the point of death, he'll just come right back. There's no real way to stop this insatiable warrior. You've just got to give him a good fight until he's ready to move on. The Foundation has attempted to appease him before, but it never works out too well. For the time being, he'll be used on dangerous missions, but good luck trying to get him not to destroy whatever the target is. Just consider his abilities and wonder if total containment will ever be possible. He's ripped through reinforced steel security doors with his bare hands. He's got speed like a cheetah. He can take multiple high caliber bullets to the skull and keep fighting. He can deflect bullets like a Jedi does blasters. He can go an hour without oxygen and essentially pulls gigantic swords out of nowhere. So good luck holding a guy like that down. Nukes and other huge blast radius weapons have worked, but if he's gonna respawn anyways, why bother destroying everything? 076 enjoys the act of killing, but causing pain holds no attraction, so he'll kill and kill and kill and move on to the next thing. Hostages and non-warriors probably hold no sway over his mind, so all Abel wants to do is get to the next place and kill more people. At one point they put an explosive collar on him to keep him under control, but that didn't work out too well in the end either. While maybe a little easier to deal with than all the others on this list, I wouldn't be surprised if 076 escaped a few times during the making of this video. Good for him. Coming at number 4, we've got SCP-682. Another classic for the classic pile. 682 is probably one of the most popular SCPs going and has recently seen a bit of a visual change on the wiki. Always interesting to see things change like that. The first line in 682's special containment procedures is SCP-682 must be destroyed as soon as possible. It's that dangerous. The thing is, nobody seems to know how to do it. It's nigh indestructible. Of course, its resistance to damage isn't the main thing that makes it dangerous. No, its complete and total hatred for all living things is. This huge reptile thing is highly intelligent and strong and uses both of these talents to try to escape so it can kill more stuff. To prevent this from happening, the Foundation regularly submerges 682 in hydrochloric acid and reacts with full force to any attempt to move, speak, or breach containment. Hell, even Foundation personnel are barred from attempting to speak with 682 for fear of inducing a rage state. You don't want the rage state. All these precautions barely do anything to keep this beast in check though. It regularly escapes containment and goes on rampages, all while recovering from acid immersion way faster than any living creature should be able to do. Upon escaping, mobile task forces have to be ready to respond as fast as possible. The Foundation requires each cell have at least 7 members before engaging. Anything less and everyone involved will probably die. No one wants to lose a bunch of soldiers for literally no gain. Other anomalies have been tested on 682 to see if they can incapacitate or kill it, but none have succeeded. Even the deadliest of deadly anomalies have minor effects on 682, and it seems as though none have been successful in inflicting long-term damage. It's well known for a reason. Coming in at number 3, we've got SCP-1048. Who could have seen this one coming? When 1048 was first introduced to the Foundation, it appeared to be a simple teddy bear with the ability to walk around and hug folks. Aww. It was labeled safe and left to roam the facility, spreading joy wherever its tiny teddy feet would take it. Oh, those gullible fools. After some time where 1048 was given free rein, it became apparent that they should have kept a closer eye on the stuffed toy. The thing could be literally anywhere, and there could be any number of horrid little clones made out of whatever material it got its grubby little hands on. After disappearing for a little while, 3 new teddy bears appeared on a Foundation site. They were decidedly uncuddly and were made of some dangerous, nasty materials. One was made of ears and could induce little ear tumors to grow extremely rapidly in the bodies of all who heard it scream. Another was made of scrap metal and proved its deadly efficacy by jumping through a person, left one hell of a hole behind. And the last one is made of human flesh and blood, underdeveloped human flesh and blood, seemingly extracted from a uterus. Not pleasant. After the initial attack by these 3 terrifying teddy bears, they all disappeared. The original SCP-1048 hasn't been seen since. They could be biding their time in that very same facility, making new teddies out of even more grotesque materials, or they may have escaped already. So don't take autonomous teddies lightly, okay? Coming in at number 2, we've got SCP-106. As long as the Foundation has expendable personnel, things shouldn't go too badly with 106. However, one slip up and it could make its way out into the world at large, which I don't think too many civilians are ready for. The cell that the Foundation uses to attempt to contain 106 is expensive, complicated, and largely useless at actually holding it in one place. What this holding cell does is provide a place for it to return from time to time. It might slow it down for a little while too. Great. But that's all it really does, because this SCP can escape anytime it likes, which seems to be a bit random, but hey. It's an old man looking dimension hopper who can move through solid objects, scale walls, and leaves decay wherever he roams. 106 is known for snagging folks, dragging them into his pocket dimension, and torturing them endlessly. It'll consume whatever it takes eventually, but doesn't seem to hunt out of physical necessity. It doesn't get hungry, it just wants to kill. Usually it'll attempt to go for prey that is grievously injured. With this knowledge, the Foundation has found it helpful to break a few femurs from time to time to lure 106 in during a hunting event. Nothing else seems to sidetrack the thing. Containment breaches do happen often, but at least there's some sort of backup plan. It's unfortunate that the backup plan involves snapping femurs and broadcasting the victim's paid screams over loudspeakers though. Oh, and then they also get pulled into 106's decayed torture dimension. Yeah, this one isn't that fun to deal with. And finally at number 1, we've got SCP-1440. The Foundation could try to contain this one, but it would all end up the same. I'd say regardless of excellent containment procedures and unforeseen leaps in technology, this anomaly would find a way to escape. It wouldn't even have to try. 1440 appears to be an old man. Nobody knows how long he's been around or where he comes from. He just constantly walks around in indeterminate patterns. Doesn't appear to age and doesn't like to stick around in any particular area for too long. If 1440 remains around human populations or man-made objects for an extended period of time, bad stuff starts happening. Bad stuff. The longer he sticks around, the more increasingly destructive events will occur. This will keep happening until everything is destroyed or he moves along. At one point, the Foundation attempted to contain 1440. Wrong choice. He warned the folks around him that he needed to keep moving or everything around him would be destroyed. He told them that 3 brothers would appear and the arrival of the 3rd marks doom. They didn't listen. Eventually, the on-site nuclear device detonated for no apparent reason, killing everyone but 1440. Since then, the Foundation attempted to contain this man 3 more times, all with similar results. So when it comes to likelihood of escape, 1440's freedom seems to be more of an inevitability. Harry Houdini has nothing on these anomalous escape artists. I can't think of a single thing I would do differently to keep them in one place. They're just too slippery. And deadly. I think that might be the more important trait. Coming in number 5, we've got SCP-2662. This SCP makes its way out of containment pretty regularly. Thing is, it doesn't really want to. It would be perfectly happy to stay under Foundation custody until the end time, spending most days lazing about and eating on someone else's dime. Unfortunately, that'll never be the case for this strange, stretched out humanoid. 2662 is a 4-meter tall, tentacled individual who tends to wield some sort of psychic influence over the people that spend a lot of time near it. Lots of folks seem to become attuned to its wants and needs over time and feel compelled to act in ways that will please the creature. That's just the beginning though. If it were just a vaguely eldritch being who wanted to play video games and get the daily newspaper, the Foundation would probably label it Euclid. Hell, maybe even safe. These days, that's not an option though, much to 2662's chagrin. The secondary anomalous effect is the spontaneous generation of religious followings around once a month. 2662 does not choose to make these zealots appear, they just sort of do. So once a month, out of the blue, a group of crazed religious lunatics will attempt to break 2662 out of whatever Foundation site currently houses it. The weirdos then perform all sorts of nasty, violent, and sexual rituals that usually center our cephalopod pal. One such example was a group known as Towards Him, spelled H-Y-M-N, blasting into the containment cell, cutting their hands, leisuring themselves, and then drawing symbols on the walls with a mixture of blood and other fluids. 2662 was horrified when this was happening, but the group seemed quite pleased with themselves. This sort of thing happens often, usually with them taking 2662 out of containment when all is said and done. And no matter how many times the Foundation eliminates these groups, they come back in a different capacity with all prior knowledge of Foundation strategies intact. The poor anomaly just wants some peace and quiet. Coming in at number 4, we've got SCP-2006. As long as everyone follows the rules, we should be okay. Well, at least for a little bit. It really is only a matter of time until this SCP decides it's time to try something new. On a good day, SCP-2006 is an anomalous sphere that just floats around its containment cell. The one and only goal of this anomaly is to scare as many people as possible. Sounds pretty bad now, doesn't it? Add in the ability to shapeshift without any known limits, limits, and you can probably see the impending apocalypse on the horizon. Thankfully, this being is gullible and doesn't really understand what people find scary. You can't read their reactions too well either. Most of the time, it'll try and jump out from around corners to shock new doctors and researchers. It also likes to take the form of Roman from the 50s sci-fi goof fest robot monster. It looks like a gorilla suit with a diving helmet bolted to the top. Not exactly the image of terror. Here's the thing though, the Foundation keeps 2006 on a steady diet of cheesy, unscary fiction in order to keep its curiosity sated. They bring in actors to pretend to be scared when 2006 transforms into rubber suit monsters for the 100th time. This way they can keep it satisfied, thinking that it has successfully terrified some humans. Definitely don't want it getting any bright ideas. Because the day it realizes that causing damage to the Foundation's site would cause terror, it's game over. If someone brings in a movie that's a little too real life spooky, we're all doomed. Hell, if it catches on that the folks it's been scaring are simply acting, it might attempt to do something more drastic. And with unlimited shape-shifting potential, it could break free and cause problems with minimal effort. For now, it's quite friendly with folks it's already scared, and the Foundation would really like to keep it that way. Coming in at number 3, we've got SCP-035. In order to keep this porcelain mask contained, the Foundation keeps it in a sealed glass case no less than 10 centimeters thick. The case is then placed in a room made of steel, iron, and lead. Doors are triple locked, and at least 2 armed guards are posted outside of the metal cube at all times. Nobody's allowed in or out under any circumstances. Then, every 2 weeks, it has to be moved to a new sealed case, and the old one must be disposed of. It seems as though this should be enough to contain anything, but it still isn't enough. There are slip-ups, and 035 has made it out on multiple occasions. It's constantly dripping corrosive fluid from its eyes and mouth, which will decay pretty much anything it comes into contact with. Glass seems to last the longest without totally falling apart, thus the thick glass case. Anyone who comes within a few meters of the mask will feel compelled to put it on. Doing so fries the brain and replaces their personality with that of the mask. The host body will then decay until it is no longer functional. When possessing a body, 035's personality shines through. It claims to have been present at many momentous occasions throughout history and loves to convince people to become its servants. It uses this ability to rally support and attempt to escape Foundation custody. Multiple escape attempts have led researchers to permanently seal the mask away, but this only served to make it angry. An aura of negativity surrounds the mask now, compelling anyone who enters the space around it to attempt suicide. All of the walls surrounding 035 secrete a strange black substance too, consisting of blood and unknown contaminants. The goop is highly corrosive, like the stuff coming out of the mask, and threatens the structural integrity of any room it's kept in. With both the negativity aura and the ability to summon secretions, it's only a matter of time before the mask makes another great escape. Coming in at number 2, we've got SCP-096. There's no stopping this one. If someone sees an image of its face in any capacity, no matter how far away they are, 096 will track them down and kill them. The pale, lanky humanoid will cross oceans, plains, and mountains to unhinge its terrifying maw and tear folks to pieces. It's been clocked running at 35 kilometers per hour and has been known to accelerate to much faster speeds. In fact, the top recorded speed has been redacted, so we probably don't want to know how fast it can actually go. The Foundation has attempted to contain it to prevent these violent activities from continuing, but to no avail. If it's compelled to find the person who witnessed its visage, it'll make its way to them no matter what. And in the process of doing so, more people are likely to see it and become targets. The only way to prevent this from happening is to terminate it, and that has also proven to be quite difficult. The thing has withstood anti-tank rounds, taken hundreds of 50 cal rounds to every part of its body, and kept trucking. You could tear all the flesh away from its bones and it would continue killing, so yeah, this thing is gonna escape, and it'll escape again. Thankfully, it seems to become docile after eliminating everyone who's seen it. This has provided the Foundation with ample opportunity to retrieve and safely place it back in containment where no one else can witness it. One of these days, though, there's gonna be a chain reaction of witnesses, and we're all done for. And finally, at number 1, we've got SCP-2845. So go ahead and read the containment procedures for this godly deer. Just go and see how complex and ridiculous it gets. There are morality plays performed featuring 6 masked figures. People are forced to drink half-liters of olive oil before breaking boulders with hammers. Children are to be roasted and eaten, and more, all on a constant 63-hour and 54-minute cycle. A lot of ritualistic nonsense has been outsourced at this point, but it must be done by the numbers all the time with no mistakes or variations. Now that the ritual has been set, it must be performed exactly so for the rest of time. If this can be kept up, 2845 will remain contained. If not, the godlike creature will escape and transmute matter to its heart's content. This will be catastrophic for everyone involved. Really, there shouldn't be any way for the Foundation to contain this powerful entity. Any cage they could build would be immediately turned into metallic hydrogen and helium, and the beast would run free as if nothing had been there in the first place. But by divining this insane ritual and performing it forever, the deer remains in one place. One slip up though, and it all falls apart. Let's see how long they can keep it up. Coming in at number 5, we've got SCP-457. Fire has always been hard to contain. Of the 4 elements, it's the one that truly seems to have a mind of its own. It will grow and spread with very little help and can only be stopped if it's caught early or if it runs out of fuel. So of course a sentient being made of flames would be difficult to contain, especially one that seems to get smarter as it grows. SCP-457 is invisible and undetectable by any known means, but is shaped out by the flames it produces. Sometimes it can be as small as a matchstick flame, but when it grows, it can take on a humanoid form. It only appears to have one goal, and that is find more fuel. This allows it to spread further and further, assimilating more fire into its shape. Weirdly enough, if the flames reach a certain size, 457 will divide into 2 instances. However, they don't get along too well. They will immediately begin to compete for resources, attempting to snuff the other one out in order to hoard all the fuel for themselves. When 457 is relatively small, it appears to act as just a normal fire. It might lick out at a human's hand from time to time, but otherwise it'll burn just the same as a non-anomalous flame. But as it gains fuel and size though, it seems to gain intelligence. 457 has been known to trick and reason with different guards assigned to its containment cell. Through seemingly learned behaviors, it can sabotage and damage sprinkler systems and set up traps. When these setups work, it does its best to escape containment. So like I said, fire is hard enough to contain without having intelligence. Now it spreads like wildfire, but also has some strategies to avoid being snuffed. I wouldn't be surprised if everything caught fire soon enough. Seems to be happening already. Coming in at number 4, we've got SCP-507. Although this SCP is extremely hard to keep track of and keep in one place, I don't see it attempting to escape for good. Most of the times that 507 does escape containment, he doesn't really want to escape containment. Weird, right? Well, let me explain. SCP-507 is also known as the Reluctant Dimension Hopper. He's anomalous in a very particular way. At random intervals, the poor lad is swept away to a different dimension. He has no control over when this happens, where he goes, or for how long he'll stay there, and this has varied results, often causing him a great deal of distress. The Foundation houses the man in the meantime and asks that he report on whatever he sees in other dimensions. Sometimes they'll even give him some equipment tied to his little panic kit he keeps on his person at all times. Flashlights, firearms, emergency supplies, etc. But as much as the Foundation tries to keep him contained, he always ends up accidentally escaping into a parallel universe. Sometimes it's nice enough, a world sort of similar to ours, and other times it's just wonderful. Too wonderful, actually. Like once he popped back into our reality and was so distraught that he was no longer in a universe full of pleasure that he remained in a near catatonic state of sadness for weeks. Yikes. Then there's the scary dimensions, ones full of cannibalistic wolf people, smiling men with black liquid pouring from their faces, and more. Needless to say, nobody envies this SCP, and nobody can contain him, even if he wants to stay with the Foundation. Coming in at number 3, we've got SCP-939. Now listen to this opening line from the description section of 939's wiki page. SCP-939 are endothermic, pack-based predators which display atrophy of various systems similar to troglodytic organisms. Wicked, right? Essentially big, fleshy, anomalous blood wolves, or something like that. Maybe I'm embellishing a little bit, but these things are just so cool, and so dangerous too. I said they were pack-based predators, right? Well, their favorite way to lure prey in is to imitate human speech in the voices of their victims. Yeah. They can imitate the noises other species make as well, which is equal parts impressive and worrisome. And guess what? These imitations are so good that the Foundation can't use voice recognition security measures in places that 939 might be. So that's one way they could escape, by using other people's voices so well that it tricks the machines. In addition to their masterful mimicry, they also emit an aerosolized amnestic when they breathe. This gaseous compound causes temporary anterograde amnesia, inhibits memory formation for the duration of exposure, give or take 30 minutes, and could even cause mild hallucinations. So get too close and get really confused. To round it all out, you should know that they can kill most prey in a single, powerful bite. Right on the neck. Ouch. So far, the Foundation has been really careful keeping these monsters contained, but it's only a matter of time until one successfully imitates a lead security guard or scientist and causes all sorts of mayhem. Coming in at number 2, we've got SCP-4885. Technically, we can only theorize that this SCP is contained. There's no real guarantee that what has been done to secure 4885 is working. And if you know where it is, it will kill you, plain and simple. So the Foundation spends a lot of their time preventing people from finding out where this anomaly is. It doesn't always work though. 4885 appears to be a real-life Where's Waldo, red striped outfit, toque, glasses and all. If you spot him, you get a fun surprise. He'll phase into the nearest wall and then appear inside the subject who spotted him. Then he'll reach up through their throat, grab their chin through their mouth, and proceed to pull himself out of their body. Organs are crushed, bones are broken, and the subject invariably dies. Oh no. The corpse then becomes an instance of 4885-1, which means their skin becomes patterned with what appears to be illustrations from the search and find books Waldo originates from. No Waldo anywhere on there though. And finally at number 1 we've got SCP-2521. If you talk about this SCP, it will break containment. If you write about this SCP, it'll break containment. If you put this SCP in containment, it'll break containment. I screwed myself by adding this entry. All for your entertainment. Appreciate it. 2521 will know if you talk, write, or save data about it, and then it'll appear at the location of where any of this transpired and take whatever stores that info with it. This includes people. Nobody knows where it takes the info holders, and to this day, anything and anyone that has been taken by 2521 remains missing. As of right now, it seems that the only way to communicate safely about this SCP is to create pictographs, images, and other similar resources featuring it. For some reason, 2521 doesn't seem to register this kind of information and leaves it well alone. But hey, there's always going to be someone like me that says all this out loud, allowing it to break containment. Whoops.